Welcome to the Saturday Morning Nerd Show. I'm your host, Marcus Blake, and joined with me, as always, is the Brewing Sailor. And he
Hello,
hasn't
everybody.
got his full setup yet with his new PC. He's working on it, so he
We're
will.
just gonna have to make do.
All right, we got Chad from the Electric Jellyfish podcast,
Gentlemen,
and senior critic Jimmy Alford's back with us.
What up, nerds?
So enjoying the summer before he has to go on vacation and before school starts, which is right around the corner.
And Chad uses the term gentleman loosely.
very.
All right. So today's topic, and we're going to get to that a little bit later in the show, is we're doing a two-part podcast on Steven Spielberg. The first one being our top five Steven Spielberg movies, and then the second one will be the most underrated movies that don't get talked about enough. And we decided to talk about Steven Spielberg because he had another movie come out this year, Disclosure Day, and I'm going to get into that a little bit. And then we'll, kindly ask the question, is Steven Spielberg, the once great director, past his prime and need to retire? But before we do that, a couple of quick news items, because things were announced over the past couple of weeks. We finally have a release date on Grand Theft Auto 6. Yes, it is official. It is coming out this year. So November 19th is when you'll be able to grab it. It'll be at the tail end of video game releases, just in time for the holidays, which is actually a good thing for them. That's a perfect time to release that game because it's actually past the new Call of Duty and some of the other stuff coming out in the fall.
Oh, it wasn't gonna matter. It's not gonna matter when that game drops. That thing's gonna make a bajillion freaking dollars. And Brendan, your timing couldn't have been better to get a new PC because I'm sure it's going to take up the entire hard drive when you download it.
Oh, I'm not buying Grand Theft Auto 6. And it's nothing against the game for any stupid political reason or anything. I'm just not a Grand Theft Auto guy. I haven't bought Grand Theft Auto since Vice City. Why would I start now?
Oh, okay.
And so it's just not my style of game. And that's not to poo-poo the game. I mean, I'm sure it'll be great for those who like that style of game. It's just like when it comes to beer, people love hazy IPAs, people love sours. I don't. That's not to say that they're bad beers. They're just not good for me.
Well, you have your Grand Theft Auto right now. It's because you're playing Cyberpunk, which is the same thing, but with cooler graphics.
And
So,
better branching storylines.
yeah.
But it's just, yeah. But yeah, I have no doubt it's going to sell. Like, everybody's like, oh, this game's going to be, it's going to be hard for it to be profitable because they spent so much money on it. It's like, the money has already been paid for because Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto Online are still making a bajillion dollars a year. So this game is already paid for. So let's just put that fallacy to the side. Okay. This game has already long since been paid for. Grand Theft Auto 5 sold 20 million copies last year. The game is 13 friggin' years old. Okay. The amount of
Did it really?
Yes, it did.
20 million
it's still
copies?
selling 5 million copies per quarter. That's why
Wow.
that's why they can afford to push back Grand Theft Auto 6. It's not because they're having problems with it. No, they can afford to polish the shit out of it because they're still making money hand over fist off of 5. And that's not even going into the fucking microtransactions. Dude, they are making so much bank. They are Scrooge McDuck swimming through the freaking pile of gold right now. Okay. They can do whatever the fuck they want. And let me tell you something. I will be shocked if it doesn't sell 30 million copies in its first week.
I will too.
Well, here's the thing. Pre-orders start on June 25th. So at the time of watching this show, pre-orders have already started. Let's see what those numbers are going to be by the end of July. So
I know a few of my friends who have already pre-ordered.
they're all like, we're already signing up. Let's get this done.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the whole meme. It's fried. Take my money. It's just like they're banging on the door, waiting.
Yeah. This game's going to break all types of records, and like you've had it's a sequel to a highly successful game which has stayed relevant and has a large current player base and a ravenous fan base.
So My only hope is Grand Theft Auto 5, great game. I hope it's not like Far Cry where, the sixth version turns out to be seriously disappointing compared to the fifth. Because that's what we ran into with Far Cry 6. Uh, Glad that they got Giancarlo Esposito to be the main villain in that game, but it was also kind of derivative and felt very, repetitive compared to Far Cry 5, which when you're dealing with taking down a cult in Montana, it's very cathartic and a lot more fun.
Okay. There
So
are there are 50,000 people playing Grand Theft Auto on Steam right now. The 24-hour peak was 92,000.
yeah,
And that's only a 50% drop from its all-time peak of 187,000 15 months ago.
right.
So, I mean, yeah, the game's going to go stupid
Well,
money.
it's nice to know that, it is finally coming out and we finally have an official date. But that's not even really the big gaming news. I mean, that's just gaming news. So Nintendo had their uh, display, their direct over a week ago at the time of this recording, and it has been officially announced. Yes, the remake of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the Switch 2 is coming out later this year around the holidays. So, and while the little teaser trailer doesn't do much, it does, it's going to be gorgeous. And that's what people really want. So, unfortunately, yes, you do have to have a Switch 2 to play the remake, but that is also coming out. I'd probably end up doing that one more than Grand Theft Auto 6, even though I will probably get a copy and dive into that just for review purposes. So, also, of course, Madden and EA College Football, the new versions have been announced, and I'm just like, the only reason I'm even buying the new Madden is really just because they put Caleb Williams on the cover doing his thing. And I'm like, well, or maybe I'll just get a poster. But EA College Football, I've watched kind of the press, the thing and some of the early gameplay, and the only thing they can really say is the presentation is fantastic. Oh, okay. So they didn't really change anything with the gameplay from last year's version. Okay.
Nope.
So after you've played Dynasty and taken your team to the national championship, you're in season 2 on that version, which I am on 2 different teams. I have one on PlayStation, one on Xbox. PlayStation, I play with Notre Dame, and Xbox, I took Army to the national championship.
Like, I'm pissed off enough at EA Sports or EA in general, that I bought Mass Effect Legendary Edition through Steam, and it made me download the fucking EA app in order to play it, even though I'm on Steam.
I know.
Hmm.
I know.
Was it Origin? Isn't that what it was called?
No, EA Play, I think is what it is. I put it in a folder on my desktop that's called shit I don't need.
Oh, that's just, hey, look, that's just the way of it. I mean, just looking at my desktop, I've got, EA. You have, in order to play classic games, if you download them from, GOG, you got to have the GOG Galaxy app. Then I've got the BattleNet app from Blizzard, and and then the Epic Games launcher. And then I've got Steam. I mean, I've got all these launchers because everyone has to have their own launcher for their own freaking game now.
Yeah, and I just have Steam. Not doing GOG, not doing Epic, not doing any of that shit. If it's not on Steam, I'm not playing. I don't care. They've got the best customer support in the world. I just
I'm with you on that. I mean, I'll still play the new Jedi Fallen Order game. They are making a third one, and it is a good series. And I wish they would make a Battlefront 3 and add more because I mean, for 10 years the multiplayer has been fantastic to play. They've got a lot of great modes that keeps that alive. So we still have a good time playing Battlefront, and the campaign is still fun to go back and play. But yeah, it's one of those where the games are so cheap now, you might as well buy them so you don't have to do it. But again, you always have to have PlayStation Plus or subscribe to Xbox to be able to play online. But anyway, it is EA. What can we
they're
say?
eternally awful.
Yeah. as we talked about in the last podcast, that the reason we don't have family accounts for Xbox Game Pass is it was EA who killed that by complaining because EA Play was included in that. And I'm like, yeah, of course you would. But all right. But anyway, Ocarina of Time remake for the Switch 2 later this year is coming out. And the other thing that has kind of what I have found interesting is a lot of the games that we did expect are being pushed back until next year. So Fable, that's going to be February 2027.
Who didn't see that coming?
I know. Um, since I'm the big Tomb Raider fan, I was actually looking forward to playing Atlantis on the Unreal 5 engine and thought we were going to get that this fall, but no, they're pushing that to February of next year. Which that means the new Tomb Raider game they are working on, which I guess is called Catalyst, I guess that's going to be 2028. So, and somewhere in there, I guess we'll get the new, Naughty Dog game, Heretic Prophet, which, cool. So, to be honest with you, I'd kind of like a new Uncharted game before I want to play that.
I wouldn't. The people that were responsible for Uncharted are no longer at Naughty Dog. Leave it alone.
Well,
it's just gonna suck if they do it. I don't want to.
Don't ruin a good thing. Yeah.
Yep. Leave it alone. We got 4 good games on Uncharted. I can go back and play them if I want to.
Yeah, and they're great. I
replayed,
finished up 4 last year. Had a great time.
That's like I have no desire to play Mass Effect 4. Like nobody at BioWare that is responsible for any of the Mass Effect games is still there. So that's why I'm going to play Exodus. That's why I'm going to play The Expanse.
It's funny. I feel like that they had to release the first 3 games, for the next gen consoles for all the actual true fan or for all the fans just to appease them because 4 sucked.
Mm-hmm.
So, hence why
I loved it. I just got Legendary Edition for like $4 on the summer game sale. It was fantastic. And then and then the other half of the old BioWare team is with Casey Hudson working on Fate of the Old Republic. So if you're an old school BioWare fan, in the next couple of years, you're going to be eating good. You're just not going to be eating BioWare. I mean, it's still BioWare. It's BioWare by another name, but it's original BioWare, OG BioWare, BioWare that didn't suck.
Well, this year will
pre-EA BioWare.
Without, I think Grand Theft Auto 6, that'll obviously be the big game this year.
And that's why all these games are getting pushed back, because if Grand Theft Auto 6 actually does drop this October, November, ain't nobody wanting to go up against that.
No, which, it's a smart move.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's a smart move for them releasing it also after Call of Duty. But also, can we just stop Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4?
1,000.
Okay. Stop.
It's like the Rocky from Back to the Future. Rocky 4000.
Jaws 19. This time it's really, 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 really personal.
Like, stop with calling it. It's not a reboot. You're just continuing the character. It's like it should literally be Modern Warfare 8. And
can you reboot something that has never stopped coming? They have an annual release. I mean,
but they did promise us that they're going to go back to an old school single player campaign that you can play by yourself. Oh, did you learn from your mistakes of the last Black Ops game?
Have you been paying attention to the sales numbers of all the recent live service games that have crashed and burned within a month, and how all the single player games are breaking sales records? Is that what's finally?
I feel like the only company that's really, getting it right, despite all the problems with Crimson Desert, is Pearl Abyss, because they keep working on this game. They keep actively trying to make it better.
That's
single player experience.
That's how Larian did it with BG3. They just kept updating it and they kept adding content. And then they were like, when they were done, they were like, okay, we're going to go work on other shit now. But here's one last patch to clean everything up. Thanks for everything.
Yeah.
I think that enough people are finally voting with their pocketbooks on the anti-subscription thing. That
100%.
I mean, it's just because all of us have basically done it. Like, I think it's hitting all over. It's not just gaming. It's hitting all over the just being subscription to death
Yeah.
for everything.
Yep.
You know,
Like Gabe Newell at Steam said, piracy is a service issue. If your problem, if your biggest problem as a company is people pirating your product, it's because you aren't servicing your customers properly. And to piggyback off what you said, talking about how people are choosing with their wallets, some developers are actually starting to pay attention. Legendary Drops, who's a gaming YouTuber who's got some really good balanced takes. He went to the summer game conference, and he wasn't invited. He didn't expect to get in, and they let him in. And a lot of developers like made time to let him interview them, play their exclusive games that they were showing. And he was like, you could always tell the people that were noticing what was going on in the gaming with the consumers, with the customers, because they wanted to talk to me. They wanted my feedback. They were proud to show off their product. He goes, all the people that had their head in their sand and they're just doing business as normal didn't want to talk to me, didn't want to show off their product, was pissed off I was there. And he goes, I can't wait until my NDA drops so I can tell you who was who.
Yeah.
He's like,
I don't know. I feel like we've all been doing this long enough that we could probably figure it out in which company. But
oh yeah,
Yeah.
all the new startups that are making games like Fate of the Old Republic, Blood of the Dawnwalker, which is all CD Projekt Red guys.
yeah,
So all of those guys, then there's tons more. Larian, of course, is a big one. The studio that did Expedition 33, I think it's Cloud something games. I forget their name now, but apologies to y'all. You made a great game.
I'll say this about Xbox. I mean, at least they realize that yes, $30 a month is too much for our Game Pass subscription, so we're going to remove Call of Duty. Great. You didn't really need Call of Duty on there to begin with. That crowd
didn't move the needle for me one bit. I never played the shit anyway. I gave up on it years ago.
Yeah, they're going to buy.
I don't know about the rest of you. I personally don't like buying the same game 15 times.
No, no, Mister.
And that goes for
the Tron Legacy. Fucking this year we put an 11 on the box. Fuck you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Or Madden, for example, which we just talked about, where they've been playing they do a minor graphical update or sometimes no graphical update, and then they take out 2 or 3 features, and then they add 4 or 5 features back that they took out 4 or 5 years ago and say, look, we put this new thing in the game.
Or add in features that no one asked for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, this year, in this year's Madden, according to all the experts, defense is going to play a lot better. And I'm like, I'm pretty good on defense to begin with. Once you kind of master a playbook, that's what kills me about like football games. If you know your playbook and you know which plays are going to get you space, okay, drag routes, quick slant patterns, and you know how to move the ball. It doesn't matter what setting you're on, okay? You know how you're going to be able to play the game. And the same, with the defense. You don't need to tell me that, well, we've really improved it and you're going to be able to get more sacks and blah, blah, blah. So that makes your game worth $75 to buy.
I'll just be impressed if they change the name on the stadiums where it says the current Madden year instead of the prior Madden year, because they just copy and pasted the stadium assets.
I was going to bring that up, but
here's all you need to do. If you really want to try out the new versions, and this is what we do when we review, we're going to give you the secret. EA Play has a 10-hour trial on their sports games. So if you drop your quarters down to 3 or 4 minutes, you can get through an entire season in franchise mode in 10 hours. Okay. That's going to tell you everything you need to know about that game. Okay.
And just to clarify, folks, he's talking to you, the audience, not me, because he knows I'm not doing that either.
No. None of us. So I'm just test it out that way. I mean, that they don't really send out review copies. I mean, they do to like their influencers or whatever, but for us, like, no, I will check it out. during a 10-hour trial and see if this is worth the damn. And generally, I wait till it's about half off in a few months to jump back in and do like a second season or something. Okay. I mean, MLB The Show is kind of the same way. They don't make enough improvements that you can't, play the previous year's, version or whatever. So it's just, we kind of sound like broken records when we complain about sports games, but maybe they'll actually start listening to the fans and not charging us a new thing. But the only game that I can actually see being worth it, $75 a year, is probably FIFA. Because if you're playing multiple teams in multiple leagues, you're going to put enough time in that game that's going to make it worth $75. Okay. Because there's so many teams you can play with, so many leagues. You can have multiple careers going on. And then, like now, if it's a World Cup year, they will drop a World Cup mode when you get close to World Cup. But other than that, like, no.
That's kind of a slippery slope, though, because I mean, do any of us in this podcast right now honestly believe any one game is worth $75? Honestly, worth that kind of money?
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna blow your mind. Just bear with me. If you gave me another Baldur's Gate 3 type game that was even better than Baldur's Gate 3, I could see that being $100 game.
And you know what? You're going to get that. It's going to be called Divinity. It's from Larian, the same people, and they're probably going to charge $60 to $70 for it because Sven's not a dickhead.
The question was,
I understand.
No, yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, no.
But
Asked and
yeah,
answered.
you're going to get the value. He's just going to give you even more value because he's only going to charge you, because Baldur's Gate 3 was only $60.
Other than that, though, I got no answer for it. That's the only one.
I think it depends on how much time you put into a game. So like BG3, when you're putting 100 plus hours or a huge open world, yes, I can see that if it keeps bringing you back. That's the thing with Crimson Desert, though. It wasn't worth it when it was first released. I wouldn't say it's worth it now. It's because it's a hell of a lot better than it was a few months ago. Is it enough to keep, making you want to go back and play that game?
There haven't been games that would make me spend that much since the early days of MMO. Like EverQuest, Star Wars Galaxies, and Star Wars The Old Republic. I spent well over $100 on those because of subscription fees. But I also probably have 2,000 hours in EverQuest, 2,000 hours in Star Wars Galaxies, and God, don't even ask me how long I have in Star Wars The Old Republic, because I finished 6 out of the 8 class storylines and have one of the characters at max level with everything finished, all the expansions finished. So I don't even ask me to calculate how many hours I've put into that. So yeah, I did with some old school MMOs, but like for a modern game, I'm sorry, I can't. Like even if the value might be there, I'm not paying $100 for a video game. I'm not paying $80 for a video game, because I know if I wait a year, it's going to be $50. So,
that to me, that's kind of the very nature of my question. I was like, was I willing to pay the $70, $80 for Mario Kart last year
especially because
it was the only launch game I wanted on the Switch too? Yeah. Do I regret it? A little bit.
Well, especially because I have so many games in my backlog that I have to get through.
True.
Like I can just play those games and wait until that title drops.
So Overwatch, okay. I bought it when it first came out. It was $60 when it first came out. I have in the original Overwatch, I have like 5,000 hours in that game. And then they went to their free Overwatch 2 BS, and now it sucked so bad that they basically turned it back into the original Overwatch, and it's free. I don't regret the time that I spent and the money I spent in the original Overwatch. The thing is, like, I could get it free now if I had just waited.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
I'll tell you a different approach. Single player campaigns. The two big games this year, Resident Evil Requiem and 007 First Light. I don't think either one of them are worth $75. because it only takes you about 20, 25 hours to really complete the campaigns if you're moving at a good pace. At that point, yeah, you might as well wait for a sale months down the road. I love the James Bond game. It's the best origin story since Casino Royale. It's a great way to introduce that character. I had a lot of fun playing it. But if it weren't for the fact of writing an article about it, yeah, I probably would have waited until 6 months down the road to jump into it when it was going to be $40. So it just I think it really comes down to the amount of time you put into a game. So if they release a Battlefront 3 and the multiplayer modes were kick-ass and there was so much to do and we were, all playing together all the time or whatever, and then, you had a campaign with DLC that was going to give you 50 plus hours, I could see that, yes, you're going to get value out of that game. But, short little campaigns or whatever, like when they did the remake of Resident Evil 2 and 3, those games really weren't worth, $60 at the time because they're short campaigns. It doesn't take you that long. You bought those games for the nostalgia because you wanted to go back and play it. Same with 4. So is Resident Evil Veronica, the remake, going to be worth it? Probably not. But, it is what it is. Now, here's the big question. They redid Halo Combat Evolved for next-gen consoles, and you're going to get to play it on PlayStation and PC and Xbox and all that. That game's only going to be that game's only $50 at retail. Is that game worth going back and playing just to get a new version of it? Even though they're going to give you like 3 prequel missions that lead you up to the start of the game, is that still worth $50 compared to what they did with the Master Chief Collection? No.
I don't think so either, just because they gave you the Master Chief Collection. I mean, they gave you the best stuff already. I mean,
that's how I feel about it. I mean, and I said this in like the private chat. Like I love the fact that they're putting it on PlayStation for those who have never owned an Xbox. But I'm like, I just feel weird playing that on PlayStation. Like I will play that on an Xbox. Okay. And it's going to be a day one, game on Game Pass. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll resubscribe for 2 months and, play it again and get the nostalgia. The same thing with Gears of War Reloaded. Okay, great. You already had the ultimate version of the first game for Xbox One, that's still great. And then, but no, we've really made the graphics like, yeah, all you did was enough to go to one gen. It's not like Oblivion where it's 2 generations later and you read everything.
I mean,
Yeah.
I see that too. I mean, it's like they've come out with enough Master Chief games where it's like I don't feel like the separation between like what we played and what we are playing is like that big a deal. I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, not only that, but 343. I'm sorry, Halo Studios, has seriously dropped the ball on that franchise, and they're talking about a bunch of studios might be on the chopping block for Xbox, and I get it. Those studios aren't
I was
making
going to
money.
bring that up.
But
yeah,
and this is some Legendary Drops brings up too, is why is Halo Studios not on that list?
Yeah.
Because they have burned more money of Xboxes and have not provided the results. So
Infinity was not that good of a game.
No, it was not. The fact that Double Fine Studios is one of those studios on the block saddens the shit out of me.
Yeah, and I get why they are, because they don't make money, but they do make good games,
Yes.
Psychonauts and whatnot. But it's just, unfortunately, they're not making enough money. But see, that's the problem with Game Pass too. Is Xbox had to go on a spending spree to buy developers to have enough games to have a catalog for Game Pass, and then that put undue pressure on all these developers to have big sales numbers outside of Xbox, which they're not going to. They're niche games.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a problem of Xbox's own making. And honestly, I really hope a lot of these studios, and this is going to sound callous, I don't want these people to be out of a job, but I want Xbox to shut down a lot of these studios because I want these people to go out and open their own studios again, like James Olin's done at Art Type Entertainment from BioWare, like Casey Hudson's done from BioWare. I want these people who are really, really talented to go out and go back into the open market and make games that are niche games that go to a specific core audience, and that audience that will support and let them develop what they want, because under the guise of Xbox or Sony, they can't do that.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to go back and play on the 25th anniversary Combat Evolved. And I'm curious to see what they've done, because I mean, it looks good and it is a great game. And kudos to you for giving us some little prequel missions that help tell that story. But again, you're still not worth $50. You're worth me resubscribing for 2 months at a cheap rate. That's the bright side for me about them dropping the prices. So with Game Pass, because third-party sites, you can now actually subscribe for a month and get your little codes for, between $10 and $12 again. So you don't feel like you're wasting a whole lot of money and stuff. Just be sure to turn off auto renew.
Hey, Brendan, what's your reaction on what's going on with the Outer Worlds? That Obsidian's pretty much just effectively killed it.
I was a huge fan of the Outer Worlds 1. I haven't even played Outer Worlds 2 yet. So
okay. I remember you were always talking about Outer Worlds, and I was like, wow, they put a dagger in the heart of that franchise.
Well, I mean, I didn't hear that they had actually officially done that. But,
yeah, I mean, Obsidian's still in existence, but they've killed off the brand. They're done.
I mean, look, if you want to blame something, like I've heard mixed reviews on the Outer Worlds too. Like, nobody really hates it. Everybody just thought it was kind of mid compared to the original.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the other problem with that is Avowed killed any chance that game had of succeeding.
Oh,
because Avowed was terrible. I've never been like, maybe Starfield was the only game that disappointed me more than Avowed, and even then, maybe not, because Starfield is what I've come to expect from Bethesda. A lot of overpromise and underdeliver, because they got freaking lazy when they made a shit ton of money off of Skyrim.
They become the new Peter Molyneux.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, 16 times. Okay, Todd, go back to your home. Shut up.
Well, the bright side is you have a PC, so you can get the Star Wars mod if you want to do Starfield.
This is true.
Yeah.
And the other shocker for me was Forza. The fact that Forza Horizons continues, but Forza Motorsport is done. And I don't know if I've ever heard of anything like that happening
You can't even
where
get
a spin-off is going on, but the original parent game has been shuttered.
If you want copies of those older games, you have to get physical copies. You can't even get them in the stores anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, we're going to move right along. All right. So we're going to do a quick this week's Sign of the Apocalypse, just because I think this is kind of funny. And then we're going to talk about good moments and praise something within the nerd community. This week's Sign of the Apocalypse. Yes. Supergirl is coming out. We will talk about it at a different time. At the time of watching this, you can read my review online. Not going to spoil what I think about it. I'll get into that the next time we record, but you can read my review. All right. If you're going to promote this movie, you got to quit doing commercials where you're just quoting people on Twitter, not actual critics. I kept leading up to the week of this movie. They kept dropping little commercials of Supergirl. Supergirl is awesome. And it's like somebody off of Twitter said that. I'm like, how far have we gone that you're not even paying the actual influencers to say nice things about you? You're just pulling somebody that nobody knows off of Twitter. And yes, I'm sorry, it's called Twitter, not X.
Yeah, I refuse to call it X.
Yeah. Elon Musk, you're just too short of it being a porn social media thing. So just stop.
Damn.
It's called Twitter, and people tweet. Um, but yeah, I kept getting these, and I'm like, that's not an actual news site. It's not an actual critic that's saying something good about this movie.
Yeah, what is a post on X called now? An exclamation? They've never really.
Yeah, and I don't know. It just
I still say tweet. So
I
Yeah,
know that
exactly.
I know when they had the London premiere, some critics were, getting on their social media and talking about this movie and, that it was better than Superman and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Saying what they could before the review embargo was
all I
up.
know is Millie Alcock has gone to the Rachel Ziegler School of how to promote a movie
Hmm.
and has literally lit the budget for this movie on fire because the box office projections keep going down. And I'm not talking from me or some random dude on Twitter. I'm talking from the website box office projections. It's gone
Yeah.
from 55 million to 45 million to 40 million down to 39 million the last time I checked. Folks, this movie's not going to make much as Wonder Woman 84, and that shit came out in the pandemic and released on streaming
On
at the
HBO
same time.
Max, yeah.
Well, and that's a whole nother like can of worms. But I just wanted to kind of laugh at this is how bad studios are getting when they can't get good quotes from actual critics and news outlets, so they have to pull random stuff off Twitter of somebody that nobody knows saying it's an awesome movie. Well, at that point, just do your own AI generated, praise of a movie.
Start
I mean,
quoting The Onion for Christ's sakes.
All right. Well, I
Babylon
think
B.
okay.
Yeah.
Speaking as a person who worked in media for for quite a long time, I think one of the problems that we have right now is that so many of these PR folks do not have any idea how to promote a movie when no one watches real TV anymore.
Hmm.
So when you have no trailers that are, and with some people are literally like ad blocking, and I'm not against it at all, but when you got ad blockers and this, that, and the other, they are grasping at so many straws and promoting things on social media like Instagram, Twitter. That is so hard to do because there's no guaranteed eyeballs ever.
right.
It's always hit and miss.
Hmm.
And I really think these PR firms are grasping at straws and doing whatever they can because they're throwing I think they're throwing their hands up. They just have no idea how to actually
Well,
reach people anymore.
but the other thing too is Collider as a news site is a lot more recognizable than somebody on Twitter.
Yeah.
These people
But
have
maybe so, but here's the problem is like yeah, you quote Collider, but the deal is like when you're in media and you quote Collider, right? There's like this back and forth. Like you send them traffic, they send you traffic, yada yada yada. If no one is seeing your PR and
yeah,
Collider's not doing anything on your behalf either, then there is no reason to use them and send them traffic because you're getting nothing out of it.
right.
I mean, that's my point. Like they don't know how to capitalize anymore
Yeah. Well,
in the current landscape.
I this is why you have early screenings. This is why you let critics you trust that are going to be honest with you. It's also why I get emails from publicists when I criticize something. And, we've gone back here at that nerd show to saying, is this nerd approved or is it not? And I told the reps for Universal, no, Disclosure Day is not nerd approved. Here are my reasons why. And I've laid it out. And I'm laughing at all of the people confirming what I literally said in my review, and talking about how it's a terrible movie and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I get that you're having to figure out whatever positive spin you can have on a movie to help promote it, but it's more of an indictment on with the way this industry is now, when you're just pulling off shit that nobody recognizes. So and so on Twitter said this was great. Because it reminds me of the newsroom. Lollipop, lollipop on Twitter says,
Nobody gives a shit.
right, right.
And look, here's
And
the
I
deal.
saw,
If you're going to quote people on Twitter and Reddit, at least pick people with really interesting like names, just the blood curdling freaking tags out there. That way people at least give you two looks instead of I don't care.
Yeah, hot, thick, and juicy. Hot, thick, and juicy. 69 says,
Exactly.
I literally almost want to do like a nerd onion of just quoting stupid shit with really funny names.
I got a slight grin out of Brendan down there when I said that.
All you gotta do is go to the Twitter handle I find retards, and then just read the tweets that he retweets.
Nice.
But anyway, it's just funny. And we'll talk about Supergirl another time and the state of the DC universe under James Gunn. So, but we actually have something really cool to talk about, and I'm going to hand it off to Brendan about this. This is where the nerd community and fans and actors and everybody unite for a single cause. That's awesome. And no, it's not about stand up to cancer or any of that other stuff. It's something
It's stand up to a cancer. It's called Hollywood Executives.
right. Anyway,
But
Brendan.
So last year in November, Amazon MGM Studios, and Prime Video all announced that they were going to do a new Stargate series, and it was not a reboot. It was a continuation of the SG-1 Atlantis and Universe Ecosphere. They were bringing back Martin Gero, who was a writer on the original SG-1 and Atlantis, to be the showrunner, and he was going to be assisted by writers Joseph Malazzi and Brad Travelers, who were writers and showrunners on those shows. Everybody rejoiced. This is amazing. They're finally getting the message. They're going to make a show for the fans. The fans will love it. The fans will watch the shit out of it. That'll bring other people in. This is what we've been begging for. Hooray. And then 2 weeks ago, Amazon, who has some new executive from Netflix who looks like he's young enough where he could still be breastfeeding, said, you know what? We're concerned that this is too focused on pleasing the fans, and we want to reach a wider audience. So we're not going to move forward with this, but we're going to find another team to work forward with. Well, the internet collectively lost its shit, and it was beautiful.
I know.
Because Save Stargate, if you go to any feed for Amazon Prime, or Amazon MGM Studios, whether it's on X, Twitter, whatever, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook, everything they post is nothing but Save Stargate. And this doesn't look like Stargate. Or, hey, this reminds me of that time in Stargate. And it's like on X, there could be MGM Prime could have a thing, and it'll have 1,000 replies, and 98% of them are Save Stargate related. To the point where even the actors and original showrunners, Joe Malazzi, who goes by Baron Destructo on Twitter, and has been tweeting about it relentlessly. So has Michael Shanks, who played Dr. Daniel Jackson, Rachel Luttrell, who was in Stargate Atlantis, even Robert Patrick, who has only been in 2 episodes of Stargate Atlantis. He was in the original first 2 episodes before his character was killed off. He has been tweeting about it and, retweeting the other actors and doing hashtag Save Stargate. The guy who played David Hewlett, who played Rodney on Stargate Atlantis, he's been getting involved. The guy who played Dr. Zelenka on Stargate Atlantis, David Nickel, he's gotten involved. So all of these people are tweeting about it and just absolutely badgering the shit out of the social media teams of Amazon Prime, and Amazon MGM Studios. And I think it's the greatest thing in the world. And I hope it keeps up indefinitely until they finally either say we're not going to do any Stargate, which would suck, but it'd be preferable to having them do Stargate from a shitty team, give it the old Rings of Power treatment and make me just cry. So, so this has just been amazing. It's just like, and by the way, just by tweeting Save Stargate every day, like my followers have gone up by like 100 in the last 2 weeks. And I don't have a ton of followers to begin with, but it's just funny just because everybody's like, oh, this guy likes Stargate. And here's the best part. This is the really stupid part by Amazon. They wanted a wider audience. Yeah. The people who have been retweeting me and liking my posts are black, white, brown, Asian. They're Republicans, they're conservative, they're liberal Democrats, they're from America, they're from overseas. Like, this is your wider audience, you nitwits, you absolute muppet.
Yeah.
No,
Hey,
what they're really saying is they don't want to cater to nerds,
Yeah.
which is crazy to me
Coming
because
from Amazon, a company built
By a nerd.
okay, maybe a nerd turned whatever he is now.
Well, but everything else, that whole ecosphere, all the people that work for him, all nerds.
Yeah.
But nerds, arguably, the most willing to spend money on their passion project or their whatever. They're the ones who are more likely to go to a convention and buy a 25, 30-year-old artifact from a TV show because they just really like that one freaking episode. Happens every day.
yeah.
And you're telling me that that niche group that's not really that niche anymore
No.
is not in your wheelhouse? It's dumb.
Well,
It's dumb shit.
I'm going to point out two things. God forbid you actually please the fans. That's literally telling, the hooker you're fucking, I don't want to please you, or whatever girlfriend that you conned into sleeping with you. Sorry. Yeah, that's how I think these execs think. Sorry. anyway,
I don't know
You're
how
gonna
that,
give-
that just completely caught me off guard.
You're going to give me the money, but I'm not giving you the handy.
right. That's
Look,
that's the mentality.
at the end of the day, so many of these guys, I'm pretty sure if they
Jesus Christ.
if they don't really like those particular properties or they didn't experience those particular properties in a particular way, they just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just look at it as I just need to like get this out of my way. I don't really care about this. I want to make as much money off this as possible, which means that they end up making the dumbest, just moronic decisions ever.
And that's
Because
about two morons who, with no credits to their name, Bad Robot, ended up with Rings of Power,
yeah,
giving $1 billion. But here's the other side of it, and they're the idiots that don't feel like. I made this joke that it's like, are you Hollywood executives that came from the school of Kathleen Kennedy and Alex Kurtzman, who are fuck the fans? Okay, the fans is what make it. If you have good writing, okay, you will bring in a wider audience. That's what Star Trek did. Star Trek had its core audience with the original series movies. When they had more series between Next Gen, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, the audience grew, generations grew. I meet more Star Trek fans. And you know why? Because the writing was good. All right.
look at look at Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry, when I was growing up, I could count on one hand the number of people that I knew growing up who even had read The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Okay, or even knew what J.R. Tolkien, who that was. But when that movie came out, it was freaking awesome. It was epic, and everyone I knew watched it, and they loved the shit out of it.
And
And you
sales
got-
of the books spiked.
Mhm.
And let's see. I wonder, has Rings of Power had a similar effect?
I'm thinking probably no.
Not. Because you
Yeah.
know what?
Maybe in the
people
opposite
I talk
direction.
to don't even.
Mhm.
Yeah, most of the people
Yeah.
I talk to and that are normies out in the world don't even know that there is a Lord of the Rings series on Amazon Prime.
So when you tell me that you don't want to cater to the audience and you want to make a wider audience, that's your subliminal messaging. Your code is, we have shitty writing, so we have to try to mask it by appealing to a wider audience and fit all sorts of shit in there. And great, thank you for telling me you have shitty writing.
Well, hey, and the real problem is, even if it's not true, they could have the best writing in the world, but as soon as you start doing the writing by committee thing, your great writing turns into shit because you're trying to reach people that the writing isn't even meant for.
Yeah. Well, but this is one of those great moments in pop culture, nerd culture, where the fans unite. Okay, and Brendan's right. If you're not going to appeal to the fan base or whatever, don't have it at all. Don't give us a subpar product. We'd rather not have it and just be able to go back and watch 10 great seasons.
Because here's what's going to happen. You've got two options. You can either choose to do something the fans will enjoy, or you can choose to not. And if you choose to do something the fans enjoy, the fans will show up in droves. They will pay for the merch. They will watch your product. They will put it out there. They will tell other people to watch your product. They'll be the greatest advertisements you've ever had. Or you can choose to not. And here's what'll happen. They won't show up. They don't even have to go out and tell people not to watch it. They just have to not show up. And when they don't show up, then they don't go tell people to go watch it. And most people who aren't fans of that, ravenous fans of that particular IP, aren't going to know what it is, don't care, and don't have a reason to watch. And the ones who do end up choosing to watch go, oh, this is kind of shitty writing. No wonder I haven't heard about it. So you can either choose to light a pile of money on fire, or you can make something worth watching.
Well, again, love everybody coming together. And yeah, I think I need to make a t-shirt, Save Stargate. I was thinking about that the other day. I need to get on that. But it's just, you know what? If you're a Hollywood, we complain about this all the time, and I'm going to say it again. If you're an idiot playing in someone else's sandbox and don't like the source material, or you're trying to change it to appease other people outside the fan base by ignoring the fan base, quit your day job. You are an idiot. You have no business being a writer, Hollywood executive, or anywhere near this industry.
Although I want to have a little bit of hope that maybe there's an announcement coming that they're changing their mind. And I'll explain why. Because the last few tweets from Amazon MGM Studios have very cleverly, but not openly, played into it. For example, what TV show or movie character do you think has the best lore? Now, that was from yesterday at 7:30 p.m. As of right now, it has 738 responses. Care to take what most of the responses are about? It's like Stargate, 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 Stargate. There's one who even, oh no, she says, but Data has the best lore. Oh, sorry, I couldn't help myself. Save Stargate. But every single one of these is a Stargate GIF or a Stargate meme, and every one of them has hashtag Save Stargate. And so that's not the only one Amazon MGM Studios has done. Like, what's the most iconic TV dad of all time? I bet you it's going to be Jack O'Neill. Oh nope! Somebody put Beau Bridges from Art. Somebody put Sam Carter's dad. Somebody put Teal'c. Like somebody put a GIF of Jack O'Neill yelling, "Who's your daddy?" as he was shooting replicators. so like every single one of them. What was another one? What TV or movie best lore? That was that one, and then there was another one. Which decade had the best era of movies? I guarantee you that's going to be the 2000s because it had Stargate.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're going to keep track of what's going on with this, but it's glorious to have the fans unite against Amazon with their metaphorical memes and pitchforks and flames and just yelling at them. And like, yeah. So Hollywood executives who thought this was a good idea, you better be glad we don't know where you live. No, I'm not promoting violence. I'm just saying there might be a lot of pranks from Stargate fans. You might get a lot of merchandise.
I promote some light violence. I mean, it's some consensual violence is okay or not, whatever.
I think here's what I said. Do you guys remember how when Jericho got saved? And it was they did it by all the fans. This is before the internet was really what it is now, but they sent peanuts to the CBS studios because the last words of the show was nuts, relaying the battle, kind of parodying the Battle of the Bulge with the commander of the 101st Airborne. Well, I don't want to use nuts, but I don't know if you guys remember the episode Window of Opportunity. where he's stuck in his Groundhog Day episode, and he and Teal'c are just reliving the same like 12 hours over and over again. And at the end of it, the whole movie, he's been eating Fruit Loops. Every time it resets to breakfast, and he's eating Fruit Loops again. And so at the end of the movie, when they finally stop it, he's eating a bowl of oatmeal, and they're like, "I don't think I've ever seen anybody enjoy oatmeal so much." He goes, "Well, you've been eating Fruit Loops for the last 6 months straight." And so I think everybody should send them instant oatmeal.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to be talking about Steven Spielberg and his 5 best movies. We all have kind of different choices and a lot of the same ones. But before we get to that, it's time to talk about Disclosure Day. If you have not had a chance to read my review, I'll give you the skinny. It is one of the lowest rated Steven Spielberg movies I've ever had. I actually gave the movie a 5, and that was being generous.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never. I didn't really review The Fabelmans because I didn't do the press screening, and I only saw it with our award screener. And if I was rating that movie, I would have probably given it a 3. To me, that is the lowest rated Steven Spielberg movie because there's no reason to have it. It's a 2.5-hour movie just to get to one really great scene. And the entire story we already know from the Steven Spielberg documentary. Great performances, but it was just long and tedious and boring, and nobody gives a shit. Yes, we know. This is how you became a filmmaker, and your family inspired you, and your grandfather, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, we know. We saw the documentary. I didn't need to see a 2.5-hour dramatic performance explaining what I already knew. Okay. Also, you snuck on the Universal lot and you eventually got to meet John Ford. Nobody cares. But this, to me, is the second worst Steven Spielberg movie. Here's why. It is shot very well. If you have not seen this movie by now, I am just going to tell you, and Brendan's giving a great metaphor, it is a yawn. Just wait till it's free on streaming services. Typical fashion, it's shot very well by Steven Spielberg. He knows how to properly set up shots. He knows how to build intensity. And it's got a wonderful John Williams score, even if he throws in little hints of Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. The problem with this story is nobody gives a damn about the existence of extraterrestrials now when things have been disclosed and people generally believe they're out there. And you've already had a documentary called The Age of Disclosure come out. Also, Trump is releasing stuff to, hide the fact that he's on the Epstein files. He's distracting us with war and aliens and whatever. This movie would have been good maybe 15 years ago. And it feels like a rehash of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Like you're just trying to tap into some magic and, take a lot of themes that have interested you about sci-fi that you haven't visited in decades, mix them all up together and say, here's a movie about the existence of aliens and the government that's trying to stop it because they think society can't handle it. Well, guess what? All of those plots were done by this show. And Chris Carter did it better. So
Well,
I
yeah,
was,
and here's what I don't understand, right? You get this like black SUV agency chasing these people around, right? And because of the alien bullshit device, they know exactly where she is. So he doesn't the main character doesn't ditch the girlfriend that can constantly lead them to him.
well,
Also, the
he
guys in
does actually at some point, but
okay, also the guys in the black SUVs with the automatic weapons apparently are worse shots than stormtroopers firing at people with plot armor because they don't kill anybody,
yeah.
which you'd seem would be beneficial to their goals.
Well, another thing is that in every single movie where you have like this big agency chasing down these two, it seems to be that everyone forgets that radios exist and you don't have to chase anyone. Just be where they're going.
Yeah. It's like there's enough stuff going on that you can figure out where they're going. I think the biggest thing that just pissed me off is you've got these two main characters played by Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor, which, they gave great performances. Um, but they're literally called experiencers. And I'm like, so you took Richard Dreyfuss and the other girl whose actress name that I cannot remember. They're the same characters going to a mountain, and all you did was take out the whole thing about mashed potatoes.
Oh,
It's
Melinda Dillon. Melinda Dillon.
Melinda Dillon, thank you. That's all it is. And then you wheel out, oh, yes, we've known aliens exist. We're going to tell the world and blah, 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 blah. And finally, the guy who's been trying to stop everything is like, well, fuck it. I lost. I'm just going to sit here in a news station and watch them announce to the world and not do anything about it. I swear to God, every one of these characters is literally on the X-Files. Okay. The only thing short of Colin Firth's character is him chain smoking like the smoking man. You did
Which,
nothing.
by the way, Mass Effect did that better in Mass Effect 2. I'm just saying.
And so did Half-Life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just recycled plots, nothing unique. All you
But
did
this
was,
movie was going to challenge Christian's faith, according to Spielberg.
right. Yeah. You know what?
What?
There is.
Why? Why even say that?
So I'll hit that point because there is one really nice scene where the girl, Bono's daughter, the girlfriend, used to be a nun and she struggled with her faith and blah, blah, blah. And how do I believe in aliens and still have faith? And the nun gives you one poignant line that sums up the entire fucking movie. Okay. So it's an entire waste of 2 hours. The Bible says God's whatever, creation on. I'm misquoting the verse. I don't know my Bible well enough. Sorry, but it's in Genesis and, God's power on earth. That one specific word on earth. So you basically have, the church acknowledging that there might be, other beings and that's okay to believe in them and God.
I think
So
Babylon 5 handled that a lot better
I
with
think
brother Theo and the monks from Earth who went to Babylon 5 because they wanted to meet all the other races and they wanted to learn their names for God.
yeah. You know what? Agent Scully handled that a lot better in the X-Files. So yeah, I'm a little pissed off of that you're just recycling plots. Now, did make me
Kristen Wiig handled it better than Paul, for Christ's sakes.
I know. It is the way the movie is shot and the way that everything happens. I give praise for that because it is typical Spielberg. But
the
yeah,
storytelling is trash.
yeah, it's just absolute.
It's rehashed. It's plots and themes that have been done before by other people and done better.
Well, no, he's done them before. Close Encounter. I mean, you could
fair. He okay and fair, and he did them better back then.
Yeah, you could have. I mean, you basically took Close Encounters and World of Worlds and put them together to make this movie, and those two movies were better.
Threw in a little newsroom.
Yeah, right. We're gonna let you, and then you have one little, thing. You're trying to do the day the Earth stood still and have your great prologue at the end. And the one lesson that we're supposed to learn, listen to one another.
So let me get
Watch
this
the
right.
skies. Watch
So
the
let me get this right.
skies.
The Colin Firth's character tracks them all across the states, and right when he could have stopped them, he just pulls a Jar Jar Banks and says, "Meets a give up."
Yeah. He just accepts it. But, again,
Uh,
wonderful performances. It's just a shitty story that nobody can stop. We would have enjoyed it a lot more. Actually, I take it back. If this movie had come out before the remake of The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is actually a really good remake, I think this movie would have been more poignant. Now we just don't care. So we know they exist. But anyway, enough of Disclosure Day. As I said, if you haven't seen it yet, do not waste money on a movie ticket, even a cheap movie ticket. Just wait till it's free on Peacock or a streaming service or whatever, and watch it one night out of sheer boredom. That's all you need to do.
Wow.
I know. I'm sorry. Hey, sometimes I'm more forgiving than I need to be, but I call this out because I'm a huge Spielberg fan. But you screwed the pooch with this one. And I forgave you on Ready Player One, considering that book is hard to tackle, but at least they made a fun, enjoyable movie out of it, sort of. Should have been a series, but yeah.
I like that movie. I can't take shots at that movie. I like it quite a bit.
No, I did. All right, so here's what we're going to do about the top five Steven Spielberg movies. We're going to start with number five and go around the room when we normally do, and see where we rate each of these movies and talk about them and go from there. So, number five, I am going to start with Jimmy. What would be your number five?
Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Jurassic Park.
Number five, too.
Jurassic Park is probably, in my opinion, it's probably in my top 10 all-time favorite movies, regardless whether it was, whether we're talking about Spielberg or whatever. It's just the first Jurassic Park is just so well done. And then as I grow older, just knowing how smart Spielberg was with his use of CGI and lighting to make that era's CGI look
Yeah.
damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an impressive movie all the way around, and it's just it's top notch, top notch.
I mean, we've said it before. It's essentially Jaws with dinosaurs, but it's like taking the Jaws movie with the Frankenstein theme with dinosaurs. But
but you're adding in Sam Neill, who is probably one of my favorite actors of all time. I love him, and so yeah. I tell you what, if Sam Neill had been in Jaws would probably be in my top. I like Jaws, but
I like I like Sam Neill just because his best speech in Hunt for Red October is when he's talking with the captain, and he wants to have two wives. And they're talking about they let you travel to from state to state without papers. That whole little thing, all against the backdrop of the subs tracking each other, is such a great speech, and it turns into a crazy Ivan. But Sam Neill is top notch.
100%.
Yeah, but I agree. I mean, the music is great. You get the monster mystery box. It's not shown too early, and you get the philosophical argument of, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Mhm. And that is one big pile of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, the great lines and stuff. I can't remember any movie by is it David Attenborough?
Attenborough.
Attenborough. I can't remember any movie. Oh, Miracle on 34th Street. I guess he did the remake of that, but I don't generally remember him beyond that movie, and except the beginning of Lost World, the second one. But I think if you were going to cap off a career, Brendan, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. It wasn't David Attenborough. It was Richard Attenborough.
Richard.
David's the guy
David,
who
the
does all
naturalist.
the
Right.
naturalist. Richard's his brother.
Thank you. I knew I was getting that wrong.
He was
but
in The Great Escape
great movie.
and Gandhi.
Yes.
Well, he directed Gandhi, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
won the Oscar for it. But anyway, yeah, Jurassic Park. All right, so Chad, what's your number 5?
E.T.
Okay, all right. I was wondering if somebody was going to put E.T. in their top 5.
For a movie that had me bawling like an infant, after having just gone through the summer of '82, thinking that God, what movie can get better than this? What movie can get better than that? Because we got hit with banger after banger after banger in '82. And like I just seen Poltergeist like a few weeks before, and I knew that he was involved, and I knew he didn't direct it, but I knew he was involved. And I was like, man, he's really gonna have to up his game to top Poltergeist. And then I'll come walking out of ET just staggering, like, my God. It's like, that was a world changing event for not just me, but I think for a lot of people.
Now, Jimmy, I got to ask you, being the dad on this show, I'm assuming that you have shown this movie to all of your girls.
They don't like E.T.
Whoa!
They don't like E.T. They don't
Okay,
like
I don't
the
either.
scrotum-looking alien.
I don't like ET either. Never have.
And it probably is my fault because I don't like E.T. either.
Wow.
It is.
Okay.
It's just, hey, I respect, like, my sister, who's 10 years older than me, she loves E.T. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I was born in '84. Just never ran. It just never.
Okay, this is what I was afraid of. This was the
I was
very
born
thing
in
I was afraid of.
'78.
I was like, I'm probably going to be one of the few people in this room that have seen all of these in a theater.
Yeah, and okay, and I get that, but it's just, I don't know. It wasn't for me. I've watched a lot of these movies. Obviously not in the theater like you. But E.T. just never like. It just wasn't.
It's a good movie for me. I don't know if I would actually even put it in my top 10, but I like the movie. I love the innocence and stuff. And there's a lot of Spielberg magic with that movie. A magic that he sort of missed with Disclosure Day. But anyway, it's
just another day in '80s suburbia, and you get an alien in your closet. It's just
right.
the premise alone is just like you can't top that.
Yeah. I will say this about that. Okay, about like E.T. and he was the writer of Poltergeist. Those genres of movies where it was like a slice of life, current time, and it still holds up 10, 15, 20, 30 years later.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are not many movies that do that at all well.
Yeah.
And Steven Spielberg, if he has a superpower, I think that is his superpower, is being able to capture
Well, that's
the
because
slice of life and still have it relatable.
It's the durability factor of
I
that
think
film.
the
to me
reason
that
why
just
is
impressed me.
because his movies, even though they're a slice of life, they're also focusing on timeless themes: love,
Right.
friendship, loyalty, doing the right thing. Whereas most slice of life movies tend to get into the minutia of the era, and that is the stuff that doesn't translate because 10 years later, nobody knows what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Fun fact about E.T. though, if you still love eating Reese's Pieces, the reason that candy company is still around and popular is because
They said no to M&Ms.
Well, no, M&M said no to the movie.
Well, yeah. M&M said no to them. Yeah.
So Reese's
Because
Pieces,
the alien looked too weird.
yeah. But Reese's Pieces was happy to do the product placement and sales skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you. I love both candies, but when I'm making chocolate chip cookies with a candy, I like Reese's Pieces with the chocolate chips in a cookie.
See, the play is to get a bag of Reese's and a bag of M&Ms and then mix them up. So when you take a handful, you get the chocolate and the peanut butter at the same time.
I agree.
Because the M&M's peanut butter one, it's not as good. The
Not
Reese's
the same.
peanut butter is
I
better.
agree. That's not
Also-
the play.
Also,
I
really,
agree.
also really good with popcorn, believe it or not. All right, Brendan, what's your number 5?
All right, I need a quick clarification. Are we doing what we think his objectively best movies are, or just our favorites?
Yeah. Well, okay. What you consider his best movies, his top 5. I'm gonna
Oh,
put it this way.
okay. I think I misunderstood the assignment. In that case, I'm going to go the color purple.
Well, okay. I mean, if it's the argument between Raiders and Last Crusade, I agree with you. Last Crusade's my favorite, but I think Raiders is better.
See, I would still put Last Crusade ahead either way. But
I'm
my,
with
my
you.
point is my 5 favorite are very different from what I think are his 5 best. Like there's a difference there. So if we're doing like what I think everybody else thinks are his 5 best, I've got a very different list. So the top's the same, but the 4 and 5 are different. So for number 5, I'm going to put the color purple.
Okay. Great movie. I mean, absolutely. It's a hard movie and subject to tackle. Everybody is great in that movie.
Yep.
Also, it's the one that should have won Best Picture that year instead of Out of Africa. I love
Absolutely.
Meryl Streep, but I'm like, wow, that movie getting Best Picture is like Arnold winning Mr. Olympia after years of retirement coming back in 1980.
Now, if we were doing our favorites, my number 5 would have been Hook.
All right.
Because Hook gets way too much hate and not nearly enough love, and it's a fantastic movie.
I don't understand why that movie gets hate. I mean,
I don't either.
fun.
It's Dustin Hoffman chewing every bit of the scene as Hook, Robin as an adult Pan rediscovering his youth and his hopefulness. I and Bob Hoskins is Smee. I love every part of that movie. But anyway,
I think even that's one of Julia Roberts' best movies too. I mean,
it's Tink.
Yeah.
Glenn Close in drag, getting put in the box, and
I mean, you're right. There is an absolute lot of greatness about that movie. And I think it captures the theme of Peter Pan and innocence perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So I've not watched that in a while. I need to put that on my Plex.
I just watched it a couple months back.
That was probably, and I have to agree, that's probably one of my favorite movies when I was growing up as well. Yeah. Like, I must have watched that movie 1,000 times.
Well, when we do his underrated list, I'll definitely put it on that. But.
Written by the co-writer of Bram Stoker's Dracula that Coppola directed.
Really?
Right around the same time. Yes, sir.
All
James V. Hart.
Well, Jurassic Park was my number 5 too. Technically my number 5, what I think is better, and I'm going to say for the underrated list, and I'll talk about it with the next podcast. But I'll start off with number 4. My number 4 best Steven Spielberg movie, Minority Report. I have to throw that in there just for great sci-fi. I think it's one of Philip K. Dick's best stories. One of my favorite Tom Cruise movies. There is a lot of greatness going on in that movie. And I think it deals with a lot of, good philosophical arguments about law and stuff. And I think anytime you try to handle Philip K. Dick, it's hard to be able to tackle and make sense of his stuff, in a movie format. But that one, just for sheer sci-fi, is one of my favorites. Also, Samantha Morton does not get enough credit for that movie, for as good as she was. So, anybody else have Minority Report in their top 5, or am I the only one?
No, I probably would have put it in my top 5, but I would have put it in my top 5 list of the movies that I really enjoy. I don't think Minority Report is part of what I would consider his top 5 best works, though.
Well, see, I say this because I handle my top 5 list a little bit different. Is this a movie that should everybody see, or is this? And I ask that question versus, are we going to go back and watch it? Schindler's List is a masterpiece of a movie, yes, but you're not going to watch it over and over.
Well, but that's why I clarify, though. Like, if we're talking about the best that he's done, my number 4. I mean, like I said, my number 4 would probably be, well, would probably be Last Crusade, just because I think while Raiders, is very seminal and it's great and everything, I think Last Crusade is probably a better written and better executed movie. Because no, just hear me out.
Oh, no, no,
It's
no, 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 no. Go
it's a
ahead.
few years later. I mean, it's like, was it, what, 6, 7 years after Raiders, 8 years
Eight.
later?
8 years. Yeah.
I mean, he's got a lot of good chops. He's added in Sean Connery, and the part for Sean Connery is written to, like, I mean, to a T. I mean, it's chef's kiss level, acting from everyone involved. Like, and it's also coming off the Temple of Doom, which was kind of like not terrible, but not nearly as good as the other two. I just feel like Raiders is probably a little bit more raw, and Indiana Jones is more polished.
I mean, I can see that. I mean, I would still debate about Raiders, and I'll get to that in a little bit, but I definitely see that. When we did James Bond, Brendan was the one that brought this up, that when you look at Skyfall and Casino Royale, it's almost looking at it as whether it's, 1A, 1B, or 2A, 2B. That's kind of how I look at Raiders and Last Crusade. They're so closely aligned as like great movies that are, nearly perfect. Um, but anyway, yeah, I can definitely see that. Chad, what about you? What's number 4?
It was I couldn't split the two apart. And no, I'm not talking about what we were just discussing. Um, because it almost feels like it's two sides of the same coin between Schindler and Private Ryan.
Okay.
Because you're kind of tackling the same time period, and it's kind of like how Clint Eastwood did Flags of Our Fathers and um what
Letters,
was
letters from Iwo
Letters from
Jima.
Iwo Jima. Yeah, it's like you really can't talk about one without talking about the other because they're so closely associated. Um,
Interesting. I've never thought about it that way.
but I mean, Schindler being one side of the war and Private Ryan being another side of the same war. And there's something so gut-wrenchingly powerful because again, I remember seeing that. I remember seeing Schindler in the theater at North Park 1 and 2, and I had never in my life sat through a film and the credits rolling and the lights coming up and not a soul stood up. And that's a huge auditorium if you remember the North Park 1 and 2, if you're lucky enough to experience it. That's
Saw Jurassic Park there.
that thing seated 5,000 people. I mean, it was insane. Not a word was spoken. Not a soul got out of their chair. You just heard sniffling all through the theater. I've never seen a film have that kind of an emotional impact on an audience the way that movie did. And it was very similar with Ryan. That
Yeah.
I can't hear him from The Fallen, and I can't hear the main theme from Schindler's List without choking up every time. It devastates me. It's absolutely devastating. It just puts a hole in your soul.
Did you watch the John Williams doc
Oh,
about?
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
he talks about how when he came up with the theme, or Steven Spielberg talks about it, and when they were filming, I mean, there were so many moments that they had to just take a break and
Hmm.
had to kind of get through everything. And that fucking very light, subtle theme, especially at the end of the movie where the real life survivors are putting rocks on Schindler's grave.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like if you're not in tears, it's not bringing any kind of emotion out of you. Thank you for telling us you're an awful person.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, no shit. It's
What
like
honestly
that.
surprises me the most is that you're putting those two movies as low on the list as number 4.
Uh, it, I have my reasons, but it's just that you know, I kind of wanted the majority of the to be the feel good films that brought that sense of wonder to my in the twinkle of in my eye as a youngster. Whereas this one is, the ones that you're gonna have a difficult time getting through it, but you feel like you owe it to yourself to revisit these things. Like you said, like you'll never want to really go back and watch Schindler again. I do, because I never want to forget how important that was.
Yeah, I see that too, but Saving Private Ryan, that's actually my number three, and I watched it today. 'Cause I was making jokes in the chat about a double feature because of pressure, and I enjoyed the movie very much. But I'm like, you either have to start Band of Brothers, okay,
hmm
or but I actually chose Saving Private Ryan as because that literally kicks off with D-Day.
hmm
And this whole other story um and Pressure's, it's an underrated movie. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to win an award or anything. And I'm not saying it's Brendan Fraser's, best performance, but it is a neat movie about everything and the choices that they had to make once you've seen other films. So Chloe and I were talking about it in chat yesterday. If you watch that and then you go right into Saving Private Ryan with the song and the Hymn of the Fallen, it's just like,
when he's
I,
standing at the grave saying, "Did I earn this?" Yeah, to me,
yeah,
it's every bit as powerful as whenever Oscar Schindler's going, "I could have gotten more out."
yeah,
To me, there is a parallel there that is just unshakable to me.
yeah. By the way, I hadn't watched it in a while. Some of the actors that are in that movie, I had forgotten. Like Max Martini, I didn't realize I had forgotten that he, was in that movie. And he's been in so many, action films that we recognize from, Pacific Rim, and he's worked with directors that we know. And I'm like, wow, that's but he was, a lot younger, I think like barely 30 when he made that movie.
hmm
I always forget about Paul Giamatti.
Vin Diesel.
Well, Vin Diesel you never kind of forget about, even though it's short lived, but it's everybody else. And I do love um, Nathan Fillion talking about that, with that being one of his first like kind of roles, and
hmm
getting it and um, having to do all that. That's a great story. So I get what you're saying on that, but yeah, Saving Private Ryan. Jimmy, did you have Saving Private Ryan higher on your list?
Oh, absolutely. Saving Private Ryan was my number two, and Schindler's List was my number one.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Wow. I couldn't put Schindler in my top five. Again,
But I'm making the list based on
I
his
know.
most important, influential movies of all.
hmm
If there's one movie that he will be known for eternity,
It's
it'll
Jaws.
be Schindler's List.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's
I get it. I very, very true.
The,
it's
the
probably the
survivors of the
highest
Shoah
rated.
Foundation was created because of the existence of that film.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably the one movie that has the highest earned score of critics legitimately.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. It's sad that we have to say that. Like, that's the one time Rotten Tomatoes gets it correct. No one's fucking with that algorithm. Yeah. Interesting. I totally get that. Brendan, how about you? Hmm.
We're on four still, right?
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, my four is where I put Jurassic Park.
Okay.
So we've already talked about it, but for
Yeah.
all the same reason, you guys had it at five. And it's a massive part of, I was in high school at the time when it came out, but it was it changed what we thought, and for a lot of these, especially with my number one, it changed what we thought movies could be, and how we looked at movie experiences. So
Well, the other way to look at that, another reason to consider how great that movie is, if it weren't for how well the CGI is, how well it stands, how they lighted it, I don't know if we would have gotten the prequels. I don't count the special edition Star Wars because I think they're unnecessary now. But what they were able to do with the prequels to get us to tell those tales,
Yep.
uh, that movie pushes us to the forefront.
You also have to consider, like, it came out in what, 93?
93.
Okay. So we had I mean, as collective moviegoers, we're really coming out of the era of practical effects being king
Yeah.
forever. And the 80s was probably the last vestige of the true like practical effects monster movies, practical effects, like sci-fi movies. And we're at the cusp of CGI. And they literally like Spielberg makes the gold standard of he didn't use a lot of it. He used just enough of it in the best way he could.
Yeah.
And he made all the rest of them that came out 5 years afterward, like in 97, 98, look like a bunch of chumps.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Chad, did you say that you saw Jurassic Park at North Park One?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. That I remember hanging out with my cousins in Garland when that movie came out, and we were going to go see a movie, and it was one of those like, do we go down the street to the old Hollywood Theater at Shiloh at 635? And it
I
just
saw it there too.
yeah, just wasn't good enough. So we
Mhm.
actually went to the North Park Mall. I can't remember. I don't remember the reason why we ended up at the mall, but we wanted to see that movie, and but yeah, just the experience of seeing it in that theater was amazing. All right, so Saving Private Ryan was my number three. What's your number three, Jimmy?
Um, so my number three would probably be, um, oh, I mean, I already gave away my two and one, but I will be a little bit different here. Just, I think Catch Me If You Can is probably in his top five biggest works, and only because it kind of like for like my generation and for like younger people, it is a completely different movie, a completely different genre. Like you watch all the other movies, like that's Spielberg, that's Spielberg, that's Spielberg. You watch that movie, and you're like, wait a minute, that's Spielberg,
Yeah,
and it's freaking good, and it's so different. I mean, to me, it shows like how much he can stretch, you
yeah.
know. So
It
it's
would
not sci-fi, it's not horror, it's not war.
It's actually based on a really funny, kind of cool true story.
Yeah.
So, it's in my top 10. But I will, here's a question I have. Would you consider that Leonardo DiCaprio's best performance?
No.
Oh, okay. Are you going to say The Revenant? Is it where once you get tackled and
I
almost,
okay, look, I like The Revenant. I do. I
I'm
like
not
it.
knocking the movie.
I'm a Western fan, but no, I don't think that's his best film either. I think his best film, to be completely honest, was probably Inception.
Okay.
I really think Inception was such a good movie, and I think not enough people. I don't understand why people have to understand a movie 100% to enjoy it, and I don't understand why so many people don't understand that movie. To me, it makes perfect sense.
The biggest problem is the timing of that movie because it was in the middle of the Batman trilogy.
Maybe.
And
Um,
that was the movie he did after The Dark Knight. And The Dark Knight is such a masterpiece.
yeah, and I tell you what, and it's like the movie Tenet, right? I
Yeah,
like that movie. I really do. I
right.
like the premise of it. I like how it's shot. I like the storytelling. But man, that movie gets shit on.
No, yeah. I hope that movie gets a lot more love in the years to come. Also, like I like John David Washington, Denzel Washington's son. He's a great
Yeah.
actor and he was great in Ballers and everything, but he has done a lot more dramatic roles that has shown his range. And like, I mean, you may never be the caliber of your dad, but you're getting there with some of the stuff that you have chosen. And he was really good in that movie. So, all right, cool. Anyway, so Chad, number three for you was either Schindler's or Saving Private Ryan.
No, that was my number four.
Oh, you put them together. Did you have
Yeah.
one for three?
Jurassic.
Okay. All right. Oh, it's that high up on your list. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Interesting.
Because I saw that film in the theater, I think somewhere between 10 and 12 times. I just
Really?
kept going back over and over and over again. And my first child was on the way, and it got to the point to where
Wait. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
it got to the point to where every time the T-Rex scene would happen, she'd start kicking. She would start kicking. Like as soon as that first footstep hit the ground, I'd look over and I'd see the stomach just start to do this. I'm like, holy shit. She's she's enjoying this too.
Nice. All right.
So it
Fair
just being that wowed by effects 2 years 2 years post T2, whenever we thought, this CG monster machine was, you know, uh the next big thing, and then Spielberg said, "Yeah, let me show you how big my dick is," and 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 and
enough.
proved it. He said, "Thank you, Cameron, for developing that shit. Now let my guys take it and run."
Now I'm just going to Blazing Saddles. Let me whip this out.
Now, excuse me while I whip this out. Yeah. It's it was mind blowing, and it's still mind blowing. The fact that you can watch that film and it still holds up.
Is
Where
that
you
what,
can watch
is
where
that
you can
what
watch it where you can watch a movie that with aborted freaking CGI like The Scorpion King and The Mummy Returns that had that much more time to develop and it looked that bad. But then you look at the Brachiosaur
Wait, that
scene
Mummy Returns is
and
still a fun
and,
movie.
and, and just be in awe of what you're looking at. And you are convinced that you are seeing what you are really not seeing.
All right, cool. Brendan, what's your number 3?
My number 3 was Saving Private Ryan.
All right.
Because it was just the whole D-Day landing was just insane. And then also, I think my favorite, one of my favorite moments from the movie, just because it was so entirely, yes, this is how military enlisted talk, was that moment where he's like, "You see, sir, I figure this whole mission is a misuse of army, misuse of army. I can't even think of the word now because I'm exhausted from putting together this bad
Equipment or
resources. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You put me in this here rifle anywhere up to 500 yards from Adolf Hitler, and that's the end of the war."
Barry Pepper.
Barry Pepper.
Yeah, Barry Pepper, yeah.
Really good in that movie. I agree. All right. Yeah.
The whole FUBAR scene always sticks with me. Them figuring that shit out, and
when he finally figures it out. Yeah.
I've always been in awe of the fact that you got that entire opening. As soon as you see Normandy, and there's no music until he takes a drink and looks up and says, "That is a hell of a view," and that's the first note of music you hear. Because up until that point, it was just straight chaos.
The first 20 minutes of that movie is insane.
Yeah.
As a short film,
like the dude dazed and walking around, and then he picks up his
arm,
and you realize that the whole time that he only had one arm, and you didn't notice it.
Mm-hmm.
So that movie right there is actually I worked as a photojournalist for 13 years, and one of my college one of the photographers I studied a lot in college was Robert Capa. Robert Capa is the photographer who took the photos on D-Day that opening scene is based off of. His is the only, and those he took hundreds of photos, but only about I think 24 actually survived because of a nervous lab assistant ruined many sheets of his 4x5 film. And yes, when I say 4x5, he had the big honking 4x5 camera on D-Day and landing with the troops. And that entire scene is based on his photos. And that was one of the things that, I studied a lot in college, and he was always one of my favorite photographers. And that movie has always stuck out to me. This is the reason why I put it as my number 2 as well.
One of the last things I want to say about this movie is we approach the 30th anniversary. I hate the Weinsteins more and more every year for their fucking shitty ass campaign for Shakespeare in Love and how this should have been Best Picture.
Absolutely.
How the most fucking injustice during award season. And I mean, the fact that we're even still talking about this movie, that people watch it and nobody talks about Shakespeare in Love.
Well, look, I mean, the Academy has shown year after year their inability to understand which movie actually is going to matter in 25 years and which movies aren't.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Only a very niche amount of fans give a shit about Annie Hall. It's not even that good of a movie, but we're still talking about Star Wars. So, yeah. I just, yeah. As far as I'm concerned, I think the Oscars, I think they should just strip Shakespeare in Love of the awards, just like everything else with the Weinstein, and say, we're sorry, we screwed up. Okay. Here, everybody gets an award now.
Can we
Just-
lobby the same thing for Crash?
Yeah, that was another one. I'm like, okay, we're going to make a movie that all these lives intersect in. We're going to talk about racism in LA. Like, oh, okay. I think Colors did it before with Robert Duvall and Sean Penn, but sure, let's talk about it now in this movie.
With a much better soundtrack.
Right. Exactly. All right. Number 2. I picked Jaws at number 2. It's not the best Spielberg film in my opinion, but it is number 2 because it is still a great movie. We're still talking about it now, and it is the ultimate monster movie that, Spielberg understood, builds that intensity. And the fact that we don't really see the shark until that iconic shot with the great line, "You're going to need a bigger boat." I mean, you waited 3/4 of the movie, or almost 3/4 of the movie, to get to that one shot. And it's brilliant. And of course, uh, Robert Shaw's speech about the Indianapolis. You just you talk about power of monologues as I'm doing a screenplay in a book, and the couple of people who have read the screenplay and have mentioned that long dialogue. I'm like, that's my Robert Shaw speech. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, and I sent them the 4 minutes of screen time. I'm like, that's that speech. It's important.
He almost got fired over that speech. Because the first take they did it, he tried to convince Spielberg that he should do it a little bit buzzed because they would be buzzed and he would be drinking and have out his PTSD. Well, at the time, Robert Shaw was a raging alcoholic.
Yeah.
And he got shit-faced and couldn't fucking do the scene. And
Yeah.
Spielberg was pissed. And so Shaw begged him to give him another chance, and he stayed sober and he nailed it.
Yeah. Well, the other great thing about that speech too is that was written by John Milius, and they actually had to cut stuff down to get to that thing. Robert Shaw edited it down to that's what we get. I also love the reactions because I don't, Richard Driver, nobody really knew the story of the Indianapolis even then. I don't think information.
It had been classified. Yeah, it had been classified information. It had just been declassified. Wasn't it Benchley's housekeeper that's how she found out what happened to her son? That she didn't know until she saw it, and she's like, "I gotta go." She's like, I can't be here today because I just saw the film based on the book that you wrote, and I didn't know that's how my son died.
Yeah, but I also I always argue about pacing in movies. That movie's right at 2 hours. It's perfect. You have drama, comedy. You took out unnecessary things in the book, like, the affair.
Which I never thought was necessary.
Right. It wasn't even necessary for the book. And it was, but
honestly, I don't enjoy the book very much.
It's not
everybody's very unlikable. Almost every character is just caustic. I do wish they had left the subplot in about Mayor Vaughn being in bed with the mob, because it explains why he's so adamant about keeping the beaches open, because he's about to get Johnny Fingers is going to show up in his freaking back door.
It's a cool little subplot, but I understand why it's unnecessary. The movie, and it doesn't take away. But I mean, the movie is just damn near perfect.
Well, by the way, Jurassic Park also from the same time period, the book, and and they did a lot better. They did a very good job as well, cutting out a lot of the BS out of that book for the movie. So yeah. Spielberg has a pretty decent track record of it's like, let's just take this down a little bit.
That's the thing. I mean, books are great to give you all this extra backstory. Okay. But but you can't put all that in there without making 3 or 4 hour movies. Like I love, uh, there's a lot more in all these Tom Clancy books, but the first 3 movies, Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, and Clear and Present Danger, they did the right thing to bring everything down and make it much more concise.
Yeah,
And
we
not
don't.
feel like you're
Those-
reading a technical manual. Yeah.
Those of us who in school suffered through Dr. Zhivago week, we don't need 4 hour movies.
First of all, I still love Dr. Zhivago, but I get your point too. I mean,
It
that
took up because it was like a 45-minute class, and then we're going to watch Dr. Zhivago. It's a 4 hour. It took the whole damn week.
yeah, I know.
And I was bored out of my mind. I was like, I'd rather do math.
Damn.
Can I just go to math class?
Well, I mean, they showed it to us too young. I was like,
Could I just take the 0?
I forget what grade it was, but I was either late elementary school or early junior high. And you're showing us a 4 hour movie about Russian history that I don't give a shit about. And also, by the way, this is the 1980s, so I'm like, fuck those Russians.
All right, so Jimmy, number 2 was Saving Private Ryan. Did anybody have Jaws in their top 5?
Number 2. That was my number 2.
Okay. And Brendan, that was about your number 2, or
maybe?
It's a movie that made me literally. I went and saw it at the Inwood opening weekend, and I was staying with my aunt and uncle, and they had a waterbed, and I would not sleep on that fucking waterbed.
Yeah.
After that movie, I slept on the floor. I'm like, here, you can have the waterbed. I'm like, that's okay.
I'm very glad. Well, I'm very
Just
glad.
when you thought it was safe to go back to bed.
Just when you thought it was.
Hey,
I ain't sleeping
this
on that
isn't a
damn
Freddy
thing.
Krueger movie. What?
Exactly.
I'm very glad that the first time I saw it on the big screen was with some of my best mates, half drunk from the pub at the Inwood.
Singing along to
Right,
Richard
yeah.
Dreyfuss and
Show me
and
the
Robert-
way
And
to go.
in front of us and behind us was teenage girls who had never seen the movie who were screaming throughout the movie. I mean,
meanwhile, we're all cheering for the shark.
yeah. Also, somebody brought an inflatable shark and it was being passed the thing
like a beach ball at a freaking at a rock festival.
100%. Yep.
I won the trivia DVD and I still have it on my shelf. The trivia question was, Robert Shaw played the villain in what James Bond movie? And before they can even finish the question, I knew it exactly because it's my favorite Connery movie, From Russia with Love.
Russia with Love, yeah.
Yeah. So, Oz. All right. We're going to get to the number 1 on everybody's list.
You didn't ask me my number 2.
I thought you said Jaws was number 2. Oh,
no,
okay.
I said maybe because you hadn't gotten to me yet.
Well, you were
my number 2 is not Jaws, which
okay
lets you believe which one Jaws is. But number 2 is Last Crusade for me. You didn't think I was going to do this list without Last Crusade. I love Last Crusade.
I know.
And look, I just can't justify putting it over Jaws for number 1, because Jaws invented the summer blockbuster. It literally created its own class of movies beyond being a suspenseful thriller. And so, but with I love 2 of my favorite actors of all time are Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, and they got to play father and son and did an amazing job at it. And it's the most fun I've ever had in a theater. And I probably saw it 10 times in the theaters. Yeah, I went back a lot. I saw it was one of the last movies I ever watched with my dad in a theater. It was that and The Hunt for October. Because after that, my dad had a stroke, and by the time he had recovered from the stroke, I was too cool to go to movies with dad because I was a senior in high school. So,
yeah, it was the last time I saw a movie with my dad and my grandfather before his dad got cancer and passed away a few years later. And so, 3 generations, and my dad kind of getting upset that I understood that I had hit puberty and understood the joke about she talks in her sleep. Which, by the way, if you did not know this about the movie, that was totally ad-libbed by Sean Connery, and their reactions are real.
Yeah. I just got to give him a little slap.
Yeah, I was the next man.
Just the genuine reactions, like Harrison Ford looking up, like that's
Dad.
I heard that story and was like, wow, that's real. God, Sean Connery was really good at ad-libbing. So anyway, all right. What is number one for you, Jimmy?
I mean, it's Schindler's List. I mean,
All right.
I don't even think I have to talk about it at this point. It's just if I'm going by like the movie that is going to be the hallmark of his career, like after he dies in 100 years, after he dies, they do some kind of retcon of his career or whatever. That's still going to be the one that they're like, yeah, he nailed it.
Yeah. Well, I kind of feel like you're getting to that point now because I do feel like Spielberg needs to retire. It's like this, you're done. This is stuff. Talk about your great movies. Talk about filmmaking for a younger generation. Try to inspire filmmakers, not J.J. Abrams, who basically wants nostalgia and remake all your shit. But
Oh no, I feel like if you took Spielberg now, it would be, and he made Schindler's List, it'd be Schindler's List, but Schindler would actually be an alien. And we would just get a different movie.
you're right.
I'm saying that movie probably was the absolute pinnacle of his creative career. Not to say that everything else wasn't good. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, if you're going to go with like an arc,
Here's
that's
a
probably the top of his arc.
here's a question about that movie. Do you feel like that movie would be as good if they did it in color? Because the only time we see color is the girl in the red dress.
And the end caps. In
And
the beginning when they light the candles, and at the end when they're laying the rocks.
right.
So I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it being black and white also for that time period when you have like, especially like my parents' generation who are the sons and daughters of the greatest generation who fought in that war, that everything they watched about it was in black and white.
It
Everything
made
that
it
we
feel more
watched
real.
about it was about it in black and white. So I feel like the connection to that being in black and white is probably more visceral
Mhm.
in black and white than it would have been in color. I mean, hell, even Saving Private Ryan was muted to the point where it was almost
gonna
black
say
and
the same.
white.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was desaturated.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was everything had a grayish blue kind of
Yeah.
tint to it.
So,
And
I mean, I think these are very smart decisions, and this is one of the reasons why I consider Steven Spielberg just like that's the height of the master of his craft is the smart decisions. The smart decisions with Jurassic Park and CG, the smart decisions with Schindler's List and being in black and white, the smart decisions with, this, that, and the other. It's like and which is why I think he's absolutely at the tail end of his career, because if you look at his smart decision making, it has gotten less and less and less over the last 20 years.
Mhm.
I would make an argument that if we talk about the desaturation and that mute tone, the last movie he did that with was Bridge of Spies, which I think is an underrated movie. It's a very good one. No, I mean it's not his best, but
I liked that movie
I
quite
did
a bit.
too. I
yeah,
like the post. I like the post quite a bit.
that you know what? That's got a grainy feel to it,
Mhm.
like an all-time '70s movie. It is
Mhm.
grainy. Wow.
But
Look
I
at
think when he started making movies for himself,
yeah.
I think he just stopped worrying about making really good decisions.
Yeah. By the way, I want to point out this conversation is not the conversation you have with influencers.
Yeah. See, to
This
me,
is yeah.
I always felt like Schindler was when he really became an artist.
Sure, absolutely. And it's a very personal story. I mean, he's Jewish. Obviously,
And
it's
he
a
finally
very
embraced that part of
visceral.
himself. And
Yeah.
yeah,
See,
it just
when I hear younger people talk about like I heard all these people praising Disclosure Day, like oh my god, it was so good and intense, and I'm like,
you have
hey,
no idea.
hey, you've never watched Close Encounters. I already know that. You've never watched the X-Files or anything with aliens. This has got to be your first alien story experience other than the comedic Paul, which I still think is a very fun, adorable movie.
And he's in that. Spielberg
Yeah,
is in
and
that.
yeah, and that see, and that is a great little moment. I love that little kid.
In the warehouse, in that warehouse of all places.
That's great. I don't know what that is.
You know,
like,
he was
geez.
actually another cameo he was actually supposed to have is he was supposed to be the director directing Johnny Cage in the original Mortal Kombat movie,
Yes.
but they couldn't make it. They couldn't make the scheduling work, so they have a Spielberg lookalike as the director.
That's funny. Yeah. I also like his little cameo in Austin Powers Goldmember. They're stupid movies, but I still like Austin Powers.
Can't discount his cameo in Blues Brothers either.
Oh my God. I posted that in the chat. Like, this is, again, you're not a true filmmaker or a critic or fan if you don't recognize this cameo. And it's a great one. So,
Better than Lucas's cameo in freaking Beverly Hills Cop 3, that's for sure.
oh my
Well,
God.
there was a lot of things that were bad about Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Like all of it.
Yes, I was
And-
that. As much as we talked earlier about how much Starfield and Avowed disappointed me, that Beverly Hills Cop 3 was the movie version of it. They took an action adventure with comedy and turned it into a slapstick comedy with no comedy.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
was terrible.
And
And
bad
then-
action.
I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
I think I am the one. I think I did the review for that for the website. And
God,
No,
I'm
no.
sorry.
I think
No,
I
not-
did. No, I think I had that one and the
No, Beverly
and
Hills
Bad
Cop
Boys.
3 came out in the 90s, man. You're
No,
thinking
you-
about
Oh
Beverly Hills
no,
Cop.
I'm thinking about the newest one.
Yeah,
Talking
the
about
Axel
Axel
Foley.
Foley.
That was actually much better
think-
than Beverly
I
Hills
think-
Cop
Because
3.
I was like, I liked that
You-
movie.
Yeah.
You and I
That's not-
did the review because I know I have it on my personal
No,
website.
that's much better than Beverly Hills Cop 3. Beverly Hills
Yeah.
Cop 3 came out in 1995, and it was maybe 96, but it was an absolute piece of
And no,
trash.
it's a 94 movie.
Oh, 94? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was working at
I was
working at
I just knew I was
Funko
in high school.
I was working at
So,
Funko Land at the time.
Like
That's why I
a
remember it.
Windows operating system, they had to make Axel F to fix,
Yeah.
Jesus.
like they had to make Rocky Balboa to fix Rocky 5.
hmm
Anyway, all right, Chad, what is number one for you? It's Jaws.
No, Jaws was number 2. Remember?
Oh, okay,
Because I got to put Raiders at the top of the list.
okay.
I'm putting Jaws at the top of the list.
Because I mean, Raiders was such an unexpected delight to me that like you didn't realize how badly you needed this shit in your life. As much as I loved Crusade, and I do love Crusade
Yeah,
on an unhealthy level, but Raiders, as my wife often puts it, is practically a perfect film. There's nothing to not like about that movie. Nothing at all.
this is
That-
the argument. Yeah, and that's the same argument I make. If you are going to talk about a perfect movie, everything that you would put in to make a perfect movie, what is it that you do? You got to have great action or great drama, whatever you're going for. You've got a little bit of comedy, lightheartedness to it, a love story. You have all those things. You've got to have the great mystery box. Okay, something that your characters are trying to figure out. And we understand that mystery box because everybody knows what the Ark of the Covenant is, that biblical story and finding it and all that. And then, you've got to have a great villain. You have Nazis. Okay. On top of, and then the last thing is you've got to have perfect pacing. You've got to get it to where it doesn't feel like you're sitting there for 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever. The movie has plenty of action, but it also slows down when it's necessary. Like Top Gun Maverick. You had all this great action, and the scene that slows it down, that makes it emotional, is the Val Kilmer scene.
hmm
They do the same thing with Heat. The thing that slows it down is the coffee shop scene. This movie comes in at just the perfect timing. And you're right. There is nothing not to like about that movie. There's not one complaint or anything I can really make about that movie. And the comedy is gold because, Harrison Ford is, a curmudgeon or whatever, but just the scene with the guy with the sword, and they make the move to, he just pulls out the gun and shoots,
They got a stomach bug.
fucking works. And it especially, again, the mystery, the mysticism about what you're trying to do it. It's not, everybody talks about Lost, like, well, they built this great mystery box with the island and then they fucked it up over 6 seasons by making it stupid. you threw in a mystery, but then you threw in mysticism that we understand. The Last Crusade does that too. Okay. I would say that The Last Crusade goes one step further in that it makes it a father-son,
Hmm.
and I love it. But as a pure adventure, love story action movie, Raiders to me is just that's why it's number one for me.
And
Like,
that he's not a superhero. That I
it,
mean, he gets the shit kicked out of him. The whole
yeah,
I don't know, I'm making this up as I go. And the one of my favorite lines in a movie ever is, "It's not the years, honey, it's the mileage."
I know.
I
Yeah,
just
my
you
dad.
feel that in your bones. You
How many
feel
of us
that shit.
probably have a dad that have used that line in some
Hmm.
way?
Right
Explaining
after she whacks him in the chin with the mirror and he screams, the cutaway to that shot outside the ship, and you just hear his
Yeah,
scream. Did you say
yeah.
something? He's like,
Here's the other reason I like that movie more than The Last Crusade. Just a little bit. Karen Allen, she is so much better than who is it?
Allison Duty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like her, but she kind of gets overshadowed a little bit. And
Well,
Karen,
she's not the point of Crusaders, though.
I know, and I know.
I mean, it's not really a fair comparison. Really, you would compare her with Sean Connery. No, no,
He's got a
no,
point. He ain't wrong.
no.
He ain't
No,
As
wrong. He ain't
importance
wrong.
to the
I know,
story, importance
Yeah.
to Indiana
I know.
Jones.
Yeah. He's more of a standout co-lead to Indy than
And I
Elsa.
get that, but because you have much more of the history, the love story, and all of those things, and I think that's also what made the Indiana Jones game.
Hey, look, you can say
Yeah.
she's more important because they were fucking, but I'm just saying Indiana Jones was in his dad at one point. It is Father's Day today.
Oh, you got me all that one.
And
Last Crusade
ironically,
still has his best line ever.
his best line.
Indies. No ticket.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
but yeah. I mean, again, it. I would do Crusade and Raiders like 1A, 1B, but
It's almost impossible to decide between the
I
two.
know, but I just Raiders just a little bit. Also, I'll give one more point. There have never been kids do a shot-for-shot remake of Last Crusade like they did with Raiders.
Golly, that
That
blows my mind every time I
and
think
that
about it.
story is so fucking phenomenal. I remember they did the documentary at the 2016 Dallas
I was
Film
there.
Festival.
I was there with you.
Had a great interview with the director just by himself for 30 minutes. But when we saw the documentary, and if you didn't know the story, you're like, oh my God, we're just rooting for these kids. Don't kill yourself.
Yeah. Don't lose your job over this shit. That guy that kept on having to take time off and shit.
I know, but to be able to get it done and everything, and I already knew the story because once it had done at Monthon or whatever it's called, they talk about it in the doc, and
Oh, But-Numathon.
yeah,
Yeah.
things started leaking online about that time when torrents really started to become like LimeWire and all that. So somebody threw it up there. That's how I ended up getting a copy and watching it and hearing the story. And then forgot about it until they did the documentary. But yeah, but anyway,
I've never seen it. I've never actually seen their remake. Just the stuff that's in the doc. I haven't seen the actual feature.
oh, I mean, I don't know if it's been touched up or anything. I think somebody has gone to work on it, like most things. But I mean, it's it's just incredible how they made the shot-for-shot remakes and what they did. I mean, I love the dachshund being the monkey, and the brothers. How it's funny how they would use old uh, Boy Scout uniforms at Goodwill and Nazi uniforms. It's just incredible. It's just really cool how they were able to accomplish that in the 80s. Practical. I mean, but the best part of it too is, well, this says it's flame retardant, this jacket, so let's just throw some
Jesus Christ.
gasoline in. Right.
Almost killed that kid and burned the house
I
down.
know. And you don't die. That's the real that's the real heart of the story. You didn't die trying to make this movie. Anyway.
Well, to quote Brad Upton from Dry Bar Comedy, my generation played with guns, knives, and fireworks. You know what happened to the stupid kids? They didn't make it.
They did make it. I love him as a comedian.
He's hilarious.
Anyway, but yeah, these what we consider the 5 best of Spielberg, and we're going to talk about some underrated films where he is still kind of still a genius. But I'm going to ask this one question.
Well, did Jimmy and Brendan give their number ones?
Yeah, Jimmy is Schindler's List,
and I'm Jaws.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. What do you consider his last great movie?
Ooh,
Like
have to
not
go
a
back
fun
and look.
movie, but like typical Spielberg that you enjoyed.
You and I've talked about this.
Yeah. Well, okay. I don't think Munich is his last great necessarily masterpiece, but like good movie. I mean, if you are talking about a masterpiece, yes. But if you're talking about like a good movie that's typical Spielberg that you can enjoy, I would probably say Bridge of Spies. After that, as much as I love Ready Player One and stuff like that, I just don't think he has put out really, great movies.
Ready Player One is just too shiny for me. It's too it's too like neon, just in your face.
It
Like,
feels more like a Chris Columbus film than a Spielberg film to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with Bridge of Spies as being the most recent movie that I could say I genuinely enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
And part of it is Tom Hanks killed it. I mean,
Yeah.
he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Cold War. It's a movie. It's timely. It's just there's so much that's going on, and it's a great lawyer movie. Everybody is
Great
wonderful.
courtroom drama. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just since then it's like, okay, dude, you're. I think you just show up on movie sets and like the second unit director do all the work and you put your name on it. It's like James Cameron putting his name on a book, but somebody else really wrote it. Thing. That's how I feel. And there was no reason I need to do a musical. So I'm going to do a shot for shot remake of West Side Story, which nobody asked for.
Yeah, I'm gonna do for West Side Story what Gus Van Sant did for Psycho, and nobody asked you to.
Oh my God.
The thing is like Bridge of Spies really capped off like this 4-year period of like where he kind of knocked it out of the park with several movies. I mean, I didn't really care for The Adventures of Tintin, but a lot of people seem to love it. The War Horse, I don't care for horse movies. It's not my thing, but man, that movie was everywhere at the time. I still see memes about War Horse all the time on TikTok and AO and Instagram. Lincoln, not my movie. I get why
Put me to
people love
sleep.
it. Not my movie.
Mhm.
But as far as like your directorial, like just caviar, type movies, it's like he kind of nailed it for like 4 or 5 years there in a row, where just his shit didn't stink, and he actually had at least one good movie that that I liked out of the 4.
I think it's a good movie. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis is good at anything he does. I mean, even if the movie sucks and too artsy, I mean, he at least had a great performance in more because he's Daniel Day-Lewis. But I thought it was all the other performances in Lincoln that made that movie better, especially when they're basically bribing people to get the votes for the 13th Amendment. But I would never put it on this list of, okay, this is, Spielberg at the top of his game. Not really.
Mm-mm.
I feel like anybody could have probably, with that cast and that story, probably could have done that movie, well. I think James Mangold could have done that movie well, or Sam Mendes. Mendes. Who am I thinking of? I wrote to Skyfall.
You
Yeah,
had it right. Sam Mendes.
Yeah, Sam Mendes.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking
He
of
also
somebody.
did 1917.
Or 1917, which is also a good movie.
Great movie. I know one film that what's his face? Whoopi, the guy you just mentioned, 310 to Yuma director, Mangold. I know what movie he won't be directing anytime soon, and that's that
Oh, I
Dawn of the
know, but
Jedi movie.
that's a whole nother Disney nonsense. But
I'm just making jokes.
yeah, but I mean, again, there's a certain point where you should go out of the top of your game, and Spielberg should have done it a long time ago because that magic that you once had. That's good. Jimmy said it best when he texted me one time. When you make a self-indulgent, autobiography uh, that nobody wants, you're done. Or yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
And
Mhm.
honestly, I think he's made several self-indulgent movies. Like Ready Player One was a self-indulgent autobiography type movie because he included so much of his own work in that movie. It was really kind of a collage of his movies. West Side Story is just a shot-for-shot remake of one of his favorite plays. Then you had Fablemans, which was his movie about him. I mean, literally, like in the last 10 years, he's made like 4 movies that were just
yeah.
about him. I know West Side Story is not about him, but it's kind of about him because
Yes.
it's like, this is what I think is great.
It's not about his life, it's about his wants and desires.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
It's driven by ego rather than by art.
Yeah.
It's like
and that's how I look at Disclosure Days. Like I really want to tackle sci-fi again and make people remember when I made good sci-fi.
you've already planted that flag, sir. You've conquered that mountain.
Yeah,
Move
I
on
mean,
from it.
what are you, England coming back to plant another flag that you already planted in India?
Exactly. No shit.
And what you guys were saying earlier is like, the aliens is just not where it's at right now. I mean, not in this like, it's like, ooh, are they real type thing? It's like no one gives a shit. Look,
Well,
if
Not
he
from
had gone,
space to space between spaces.
see,
yeah,
that's kind of my problem with Ryan Coogler, who wants to reboot something that he loved as a kid. You great with Rocky. You nailed it with Creed 2 and bringing that. That's a great story. And one of Sylvester Stallone's better performances as an older Rocky. We don't need an X-Files reboot. We don't need 2 people discovering the X-Files and talking about aliens and the monster of the week. We already had it. You already tried to kind of bring it back with Mulder and Scully.
And frankly, we already had a good reboot of it. It was called Fringe.
Brilliant.
True.
I just started rewatching that again. It's one of my favorites.
First of all, Josh Jackson is surprisingly good in it, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, John Noble is insanely good in it.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, playing
100%.
Walter and Walternet. John Noble
Dude.
carries that show. And
And
that's not to say anything against the woman who played Olivia. I forget her name. She's an Australian actress.
she was in Mindhunter too. Yeah,
Yeah. But she does a great job, and of course, R.A.P. Colonel Broyles, Lance Reddick. Lance Reddick is fucking amazing in everything he was in, even when that product sucked, Resident Evil. But there's a great cast, but it's probably the last good thing Bad Robot did, because I don't count Lost because Lost was just a lie. Lost was, we have this great mystery we're going to solve for you for year and year, and it was just mystery box, mystery box, mystery box, mystery box. We don't know how to end it. So
Yeah.
I don't consider Lost. I consider Lost a show that had great promise and went nowhere. It's not a great show. So to me, the last good thing Bad Robot did was Fringe, and I absolutely love Fringe. And of course,
Also-
it gave us more. It gave us more Leonard Nimoy before he passed.
Yeah, you talk about like a last great performance.
And he was great. Nimoy was
It
fantastic in
was.
it.
Yes, absolutely.
So yes, we already had a good X-Files reboot, and it was even better than being a reboot because it wasn't a reboot. It was a different take on the same genre.
You know what? We're talking about French. I gotta put that on my Plex. I gotta write that down. I'm adding stuff to my Plex of stuff because I actually just put all of the X-Files on there. I did that the day after I saw Disclosure Day. I'm like, I did this because I was talking about I talked about this with Annabeth Gish, a couple of years ago when she was at Dallas, her and I had a few minutes before she had to go back and doing the Q&A on the movie. And she was laughing. She's like, so let me get this straight. Two of your favorite things that I've been in are The West Wing and The X-Files? Yes. And I have tons of questions about The X-Files, but I know you have a Q&A.
The and the thing with Fringe too is the Fringe was really coming out when Erin and I first started dating, and so that was a show that we watched together because she was big, Star Trek and Babylon 5. I was big into Star Wars and kind of liked those other properties. We both like Stargate. And then here comes this sci-fi property that's brand new that we could both watch and both enjoy. And so something really special that she and I shared in our early days, and we still go back and watch it on occasion.
Yeah. Gosh, if only Spielberg could remember great things other people have done and not try. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to quit complaining about Disclosure Day. But yeah. So, kids, if you want a good recommendation of a TV show that you need to go back and watch if you've never watched it or you just want to go back and watch it again, that's our recommendation on this particular show, Fringe. So, anyway, we're going to wrap this up, but we'll be back talking about Steven Spielberg's most underrated films where he was still good before he needed to retire. And I hate to say that, but,
To all things, there is a season.
Yeah. All
For
the
him,
great.
it's the season to sit on the porch and sip a mint julep. Call it a night, baby.
You know what? You need to go to, you need to basically just be a visiting professor at USC, the school you never got into, and talk about how to make film to all the people, to all the fanboys and stuff like that. Because you never know. The next J.J. Abrams is probably in that class who.
Oh, God. And you could talk him out of doing film.
Hey, I still love the movie Super 8. But yeah, Super 8 is Goonies, E.T., and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's all it is. It's a fun movie, but I don't deny what it really is. So, all right, everybody. We'll be back next week. Stay nerdy, and it's time to say goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Take care, guys.